Hey friends, and welcome back to this Fretted Friday. And this big box means that we have got an unboxing day today, but don't get too excited. It's not Fender, but I'm more excited than that, and you'll see why coming right up. I have been waiting to try one of these guitars for myself here in the studio for the longest of times, and I think you guys are really going to like this. My good buddy Josh has sent me this to unbox for you today. Let's just get on with it and I'll tell you a bit more about it as we open it. Now I think this big Fender box, which is a bit of a red herring, may well have come all the way from the USA, and I can tell you that the company who have sent me this guitar also make some guitars for Fender, well, at least Squire. Hopefully that might have given you some clue as to the company I'm talking about, and if it hasn't given you some clue, then that most certainly will. It is a Cort guitar that Josh has kindly sent me, and a big thanks again to Josh. A bit of a dent on the end of the box there, let's hope that's okay. And what we've got in here, let's just open it, let me show you. Been quite excited about this. I originally got in touch with Josh about having a look at some Dean guitars, and I think that's still maybe in the pipeline, but for now, this is what he wanted me to show you. It's the Cort CR300 aged vintage burst. Let me come in the middle a little bit more there. There we go. And it is, of course, a single cut guitar. It comes with D'Addario strings, which is cool. And there is the checking tag. And it has been inspected. It hasn't got a date on it, but it's had the assembly set up, finish, electronics tested, and final check all done on it. Let's have a check of something. Do you know how much I love? You guys do know exactly how much I love it when guitars come in tune. It's because somebody has then checked it out and made sure that it's nicely set up. And this does look beautifully set up. The action's really low as it goes. I would say that action is lower than a millimeter. I would say really, really, really low action. It's a very solid ABR style bridge as well. It's very nicely set up, and yeah, it looks like it's got a very good solid connection to the body, both on the bridge and on the tailpiece, which I find vital to good transfer of tone, as is the nut and the break angle on the headstock. And in fact, that is very shallow, so those strings will be under enough tension, but not so much that it makes this neck joint weak. And I like the look of this guitar, this aged look, as opposed to, we all know that I'm not a big fan of relics, but as opposed to relicking, this has just had the gloss taken off of it, so it's a semi-gloss finish. In fact, if I point it in the light there, you can see just how nice this gloss finish is. Now the maple on the top of this cap, I wouldn't say is particularly an AAA top. It's figured, but I wouldn't say that it's flamed. But it has got some character to it. But I think the idea of this is more to do with this aged look and this nice burst anyway. So this is quite a heavy guitar, and I'll post just here exactly how much it does weigh. It balances nicely on the strap buttons, which is always really important, and actually is probably the most important thing for a gigging guitarist, that you've got a guitar that doesn't have headstock drop or lift, and so it balances really nice. It may be a trifle heavy, I'm not sure, I haven't actually weighed it yet, but I think I could quite easily cope with a couple of hours gigging with this. And in terms of price, in the UK this retails, the cheapest I could find it was £438, which translates to 580 US dollars, 485 euros. And I love this. This comment on the Cort website was, the new CR300 was designed to produce an authentic vintage single cutaway set neck solid body guitar sound and feel without the vintage price tag. And it claims and alleges to have that classic PAF tone. Now, there's a lot of things that go into the sound of those classic 59 style guitars, and this has got one of those attributes. It has got a 15mm maple cap on it. The pickups in it also, which they claim are very, very PAF sounding, and we will find out in a future video, are Fat 59s from EMG. Another favourite of mine in terms of design feature are the zebra pickups. I love the zebras, I have to say. Again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. So it's meant to give that warm, vintage, low output sound. And these are lower output pickups. They're not high outputs like a lot of the EMGs are renowned for. But I really, really like this. And of course, the rest of the build is mahogany, solid mahogany. And obviously these are built, absolutely, in South Korea. Now, the interesting thing about Cort guitars are that they don't make very many of their own. They are one of the most famous ghost builders who build guitars for other brands. And among those brands, Cort make the value brand range for Ibanez, for Squier, for G&L, and of course for Parkwood, who are big box store type guitars. They are sold exclusively through places like Guitar Center in the USA. And also, more recently, they began building guitars for Avalon Guitars in Northern Ireland and doubled their sales pretty much. So they're really renowned for excellent quality and building for other manufacturers. The slightly more budget end of the market in South Korea. And I have to say, this really does look very, very nice indeed. It's a very standard setup, 3-way toggle switch. One of the things I love about this switch is it doesn't come with the polka dot, or the poker chip I should say, surround to it. I'm quite a fan of taking those off, and I really like this nice, clean, simple look of missing that poker chip. But let me know what you think. 2 volume, 2 tone, output jack right there, standard ABR bridge. They're vintage style. I don't think they are Clousons, but they are very reminiscent of Clouson tuners. Let's take this checking tag off. Don't worry, Cort, I always remember to put it back on if and when I'm sending these guitars back. Yeah, and something I noticed just a moment ago that you may have noticed. It looks like the pickups, the Fat 55s, despite being low output, are still active. And it's got a really nice semi-matte, semi-gloss finish on the back as well. The other cavities on the back are nicely flush mounted, and the cut on all of these and the recess feels beautifully flush and a nice attention to detail. And the great thing about it, and I really love this of the Harley Bentons, is this beautifully smooth. In fact, it's not got any ridge like the Bentons have. This beautifully smooth neck cut, a little bit like the ESP LTDs do. And it's a nice thick neck as well. Now, the fingerboard is Jatoba, I think that's how you pronounce it. And looking at that, it's got a much more sheeny, sort of bright look to it. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. In fact, look at the way the light is reflecting on those frets. They are so nicely polished. It really does set off in the light. Look at that. Absolutely lovely. And of course, it's got Cort on the headstock, and I don't mind this shape of headstock. To be fair, 3-a-side headstocks, they're all much of a muchness as far as I'm concerned. And I think that this looks pretty smart. The vintage style tuners also look pretty smart. But for me, the slick and not completely glossy back of the neck, that kind of satin finish, which this has all over, is a really, really nice feel. And the neck is nice and chunky. I would suggest this is a 50s. It's a between the 50s and 60s. I think they've gone for trying to go for the best of both worlds on this neck, but really nice. I'm just having a listen to the sustain on this guitar, and I cannot wait to plug it in. So this is my first, unbelievably, considering how long the channel's been going, my first opportunity to review a Cort guitar here in the studio. And they are very, very highly regarded. When I was at NAMM this year, I saw Frank Gambale, who has a signature model for both electric and acoustic. I saw him playing both at the Cort booth, and I saw a lot of the guitars there. It wasn't where I met my buddy Josh. In fact, I got in touch with him, as I said, about the Dean guitars, but he's sorted this one out for me. Slight little thing that I've noticed and I quite like, but this is a very, very sharp bottom cutaway, but I think that looks pretty classy. And again, if you've got slightly bigger hands, or I haven't, I've got small hands, that might ease the access up to the top frets somewhat as well. So really, really glad to get a chance to review and demo this guitar. The other person, of course, who is a Cort artist and has a signature model is Matt Bellamy of Muse. So with Frank Gambale, Matt Bellamy, I think also Gene Simmons is involved with Cort. We're in pretty good company, and I can't wait to do the sound test on this for you, which will be coming in another video as soon as I can. I'm just about, as I'm recording this, to fly out to 42 Gear Street in Germany, so I've no idea when I'm going to get chance to do the sound test on this. It will definitely be when I get back, because I fly out tomorrow. But I really wanted to get the unboxing done before I went, and I'm going to have a noodle on this before I go out to Germany. And I will do the sound test for you just as soon as I can. Now, as always, I'd love to know your thoughts on the look of this. I'm very, very impressed with it. And I think that it's got a real nice burst to it as well. I'm just looking in the monitor there. And I just think the weight of this is good and solid, and I'm very impressed. But you let me know, because it's not what I think that counts. As always, you guys do the review in the comments section down below. Similarly, I'm really hoping that you like the idea of me checking out these Cort guitars. And if you do, please, please, please give me a nice thumbs up. If you haven't already, it really can't hurt to subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure to click that bell icon, because then you'll be notified every time I do an upload, which I will be doing very, very soon as I get back from 42 Gear Street. But in the meantime, thanks so much for watching today on this Fretted Friday. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And as always, my friends, you take good care.